Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Don Grease. I am an account manager here at Lifeboat Distribution. Welcome to today's presentation, Help Your Customers Go Green, Make Money. Let ImageDoc show you how. Lifeboat Distribution is extremely pleased to host today's webinar. You will see through today's presentation that ImageDoc services provide far more than helping customers go green. The business value of converting archived paper files into electronic documents is incredible. And the value proposition to you, our resellers, is, well, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, it is crazy. It is so good. I'm sure you're going to love working with ImageDoc. And as we go through the presentation today, if you have any questions, feel free to enter them in the Q&A section on the lower right of the screen. We will answer as many of your questions as time permits, but at this time now it is my pleasure to turn over the presentation to Frank Nasakia, Executive Vice President, Worldwide Channel Sales for ImageDoc USA. Frank, go right ahead.
Thanks, Don. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today. So I'm going to go through the presentation. As Don said, please, in the chat window, please ask as many questions you would like. If I don't cover them in the presentation and time permits, we'll get to them all. So we'll start with the agenda. So we're going to go through a bunch of things, one being why customers go paperless, and they're pretty obvious questions and answers there, but we'll go through that in detail. What's in it for you, the reseller? Why ImageDoc? How the process works, meaning how do we actually get paper out of clients' hands in a sense and get it all the way through digital imaging out to the client. Where the opportunities lie, both in the vertical and geographic areas. How do we get started as a team? What the ImageDoc channel program consists of, and the next steps. So that will be the agenda we're going to cover today. So why go paperless? We all know that today's world is a digital world, and lots of paper still exists in the world today. As a matter of fact, it's growing at 60% year over year, which is actually amazing in terms of how much paper people are still generating. So there's lots of businesses that are still kind of behind the times, especially in the government and healthcare space, that still need to get documents converted into digital imaging to be able to run their business more effective and more efficiently. You know, we all know paper is very ineffective in terms of being able to manage the data, look up the data, be able to do anything with it. It's a very ineffective way of managing your business. So the idea is to obviously get all that paper into digital imaging so people can do things online and very effective. The other thing is there's not a good DR strategy when you have paper files lying around, even if it's in document management repositories. There's just no good, easy way to recover the business from any type of disaster. So we see a lot of clients in the financial world moving to digital imaging just from a pure BC, business continuity DR perspective. So what's in it for you, the reseller? So digital imaging is actually the impetus for everything else that you may sell as a value-added reseller. So we actually have folks that specialize in document imaging business, and they've actually turned their business upside down and are starting to lead with ImageDoc services. Because the more paper you scan, the more the client then needs to make a decision on what they're going to do with the data. Meaning, do we just leave it in on some form of storage media and make it PDF searchable, or we can actually import the data into, a more sophisticated document management system. Obviously, with document management software and systems comes the need for additional hardware, comes with a need for additional servers. Those servers may need to get virtualized, additional storage, and then every single one of these clients need value-added professional services to tie everything together. ImageDoc really allows the VAR to create a full suite of services around what they do. Plus, the biggest thing for the value-added reseller is there's greater than 40% margins in this business. So I've been in the technology business for over 30 years and sold lots of hardware and software, but the ability to do what we do here at ImageDoc and sell somewhere between 40 to 60% margins is absolutely amazing. And we walk through some of the details of the size of the deals, and I'll go through that in terms of the ASP price. But if you think about just scanning 5,000 boxes of paper on a yearly basis, that will be about a $250,000 profit to the value-added reseller. So a very exciting business, and the ability to make money is actually huge. I'll talk a little about pricing in the upcoming slides. You'll hear things in this industry, which is a very fragmented industry. You'll hear things in terms of price per page. We actually are turning the industry upside down, and I'll talk about we're going to price it by the box, and we'll go through that. But we make a note here that says, even with a couple of penny markup per page, we're still the lowest cost in the industry, and we'll still at those net margins. So plenty of margins to go around for everybody. So why ImageDoc? We've been around for about 10 years. We started as a local scanning organization in the Colorado area. All we do is document imaging. So there's lots of people out there that do document scanning, but they do a lot of other things. They do everything from selling the software to possibly selling the hardware to doing cold storage facilities. They do lots of things. The only thing ImageDoc does is really does document scanning, and that's of any type of paper, any type of microfilm, microfiche, you name it, we'll scan it. Books, blueprints, anything. That's all we do. And we're able to do that and do it in an effective manner because we run out of a major facility, a 35,000 square foot facility in one location out of Colorado. So that allows us to create, in a sense, a production line, just as it would be, a manufacturer of a car, to be able to get the production line, in a sense, highly effective, highly efficient, and be able to provide the lowest cost, highest quality document imaging out there in the industry. Without sounding like an infomercial, we do have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. When I talked about the process, I'll walk you through how that works. As I said earlier, we have one central and secure facility. We do government work. We do work for the healthcare industry to meet HIPAA requirements. So our facility is all biometrically access, card reader access, as well as full security measures that we need to do. We also only do this business in the U.S. There's lots of companies out there that will ship the imaging, the data out to other parts of the world to have indexed. We do everything here in the United States. We meet all the requirements, and that's very important when we're dealing with security requirements for customers. I'm not going to read through all the certs and things that we comply with. You can see it here. We have over 50 years combined document management experience, and we are a 100% channel sales model only. So I'll repeat that. We do not have a direct sales force. We are strictly going through distribution and of our channel model, and we're going to stay that way. So industry compliance, as I said a little bit earlier, we have a 24/7 surveillance on our facility. Everything's performed here in the U.S. All employees need to go through a background check, and we do a current background check every year. We meet all the certs and legislation to do any type of scanning. So if somebody asks, can we do it for a healthcare, a hospital, or gov work? Yes, the answer is yes. We can do it for anybody out there. And we also have, and I'll get into this a little while later, we also have the ability to be certified to shred documents. You do need a NAID, a AAA NAID, NAID certification to officially shred documents. We comply with that, as well as have alliances with 2 other shredding companies that also offer that as a service. So let's talk a little about this industry landscape. It's a very fragmented business out there. There are lots of people that do scanning, but they typically do it, what I say and call it, is out of necessity. So there's lots of folks that offer document management software, other services, and they usually will have a very small shop to do small images for customers that may have bought software from them, hardware from them, and the client says, well, now that I got the software and hardware, a document management system really doesn't provide value unless you have about 3 years of back files that are sitting in the doc management system. So if you guys out there are selling document management software and positioning with the client what I call a go-forward strategy from today forward, you still need about 3 years' worth of data to make the ROI valuable for the client to get those documents into the management system, depending on the retention period for those records. So these folks will typically do that scanning out of necessity because the client will say, well, who else am I going to get to do it? And a lot of these folks then go to outsources. They'll go to service bureaus to get it done. We're, in a sense, that wholesale model. We are strictly doing the document scanning, cheaper out there than anybody else I've spoken with. We have lots of VARs out there that do document scanning, and when I talk to them what they're putting it out at, they're typically telling me it costs them somewhere in the 8 to 10 cents a range to do it themselves, and they're actually putting it out to the client at somewhere between 12 to, I've heard, as high as 25 cents a page to do the business. And there's also things that aren't even included in that price that we actually include everything, and I'll go through that in a little while about how we include everything, including prepping and scanning and shredding as part of our page, as part of our cost per page. So the two things that we're typically going to compete against isn't really necessarily competition out there in the marketplace because every time we're typically the lowest cost leader. It's usually the client saying, I'm going to do it themselves in-house, which is a very ineffective and inefficient model. If you think about, I make the analogy to this business to where probably the paychecks business was, you know, say 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, where everybody did their own payroll in-house. Now I'm not sure there's anybody actually out there that doesn't outsource to an ADP or whoever to get their payroll done. Well, there's lots of financials, healthcare, hospitals that actually have large production scanning facilities within their environment. And one has to ask themselves, you know, what business are they really in? Are they in the document scanning business? Are they in the healthcare or legal or financial business? So we're actually seeing a lot more folks move the in-house scanning business to outsource providers because we can do it bigger, better, cheaper, faster. And then there's the record management storage facilities, folks that you have heard, I'm sure, folks like Archive America, Iron Mountain, LA Records that store boxes of paper. There's somewhere in the U.S. alone greater than about 50 million boxes of paper stored in these record management facilities. Iron Mountain has about 50% of that marketplace, so Iron Mountain alone has greater than 25 million boxes that sit at their various facilities around the country. It's a very ineffective, inefficient way to store documents, especially if you're trying to make your business effective and efficient, and it all sits in paper someplace else. So if you need ready access to these documents, it just doesn't make sense to keep them in record management facilities. So ImageDoc provides the highest value. Why? Because the way we actually price and go to market, so we are the first and only document scanning / imaging company to offer their services through distribution. There's no other company that I know of, well, and I've talked to lots of the distributors, there's no other company out there that's offering document scanning through distribution. We also have changed the paradigm in terms of how we price this. Most customers, if you called a company to get, you know, boxes scanned and you asked for a price, let's say you called up 10 document scanning companies and said, I have 100 boxes, can you please give me a price on what it's going to cost to scan those? They're going to probably ask you a list of 20-something questions, and at the end of the phone call, they're still not going to give you a price probably. They'll say, here's an approximate price, and after we scan it, depending on the number of scans we've actually done, I'll charge you a price per scan. We've done an all-inclusive pricing, so meaning we're charging by the box, which is a kind of an industry norm of how you store files, and we don't care how many pieces of paper are in the box. So we tell our clients, stuff the boxes as much as you want, I don't care. I don't care if the paper is actually double-sided. Everybody else would charge twice for a double-sided piece of paper. We don't. So if every single piece of paper in that box is double-sided, typically there's about 2,500 pieces of paper that can fit in a box. Most people will get charged for 5,000 images. We're not going to charge that way. We're charging one price to do the whole box. A lot of clients, a lot of vendors will actually even include additional prices for shredding. Shredding is usually in addition to their price per page. We include that in our standard price. I've even had talking to folks that have even charged extra labor costs per hour for things as silly as multiple staples, multiple sticky notes, you name it, whatever's in a file, they'll charge extra, and they'll even charge a labor rate. By the hour for all the prepping work, which is actually 60%, which is actually about 60% of the whole job cost. So there's no standard pricing in this industry. It's all over the place. It's very fragmented. And ImageDoc's goal is to get this industry, in a sense, under control, in a sense, price it in an easy, consumable way for both the end user, for you folks being the resellers, be able to resell this in a very easy fashion without going through all sorts of gyrations and calculations, and be able to put it into high volume distribution, which we have done. The other major thing that we're also doing is, and it's very unheard of in the industry, is we actually have an organization where we can do financing of an ImageDoc services only deal. That's very important to think about because there's lots of folks out there that will finance a combination hardware, software, services deal, usually in which services typically need to be under about the 40% range to finance the deal, is what typical is out there. We have a company, a bank, a NASDAQ-listed bank, that will actually finance a ImageDoc services-only deal, which is pretty cool because it allows you to offer our services, if you need be, in a standalone fashion and be able to get that deal financed. And it's so important because there is a significant outlay of dollars to scan a lot of paper, and the client may object to doing that right now. They may say, well, you know, I can delay some of that or all of it to next year or whatever. But by financing the deal over, say, 3 or 5 years or whatever the finance arrangement is, we can level out that cash flow for the client and not have this big outlay of cash in day one and make it more palatable for the client to move forward. And also look like what they also pay if they actually have documents at a record management facility where they're used to paying a monthly fee to store those boxes in some record management facility. And we can actually work out some financing arrangements that we could possibly match what they pay today at a record management facility, take control of those boxes, image most of them depending on their retention period, and their cost would end, let's say, at 3 to 5 years, where if they keep it in a record management facility, they're paying that cost forever because the paper increases, it never goes down. They're still increasing the amount of paper they're generating. So the cost will go up if they keep those boxes in storage. So how it works, I'm just going to put this all up and go through it. So we actually have an arrangement to do secure shipping and delivery anywhere in the country with a company called ABF. So we'll pick up those boxes. There is a cost to doing that that's outside our normal cost for doing all the other stuff. Shipping is extra. We actually have a favored nation rate with ABF to be able to ship. We don't care where it's from and to, so it's very simple to estimate what it's going to cost to ship. We actually price it by the box depending on the volume. So if it's greater than 1,000 boxes, we actually have the cost from anywhere in the country down to about $3 a box to ship. So it's pretty insignificant because most people will say, with your one facility in Colorado, isn't the shipping cost going to kill us? And the answer is absolutely not. $3 a box is tenths of a penny per page, which is very insignificant to do the shipping and allows us to keep a high quality control by moving it into one facility. So secure shipping and delivery, then we take ownership of the boxes, control of the boxes. The liability lies with us. There is liability associated with taking on records, whether they be financial records, healthcare records, personal records, government records. We maintain the liability for that, so there's no liability on you, the reseller. We categorize it, we prep it, we clean it, we image it, we index it. Indexing is part of our process. We do not ship that off to, like I said, foreign countries the way most people do. We index actually on demand, which is different than what most people do, and that's how we also get the price down with our proprietary process. As we're scanning, our folks actually do the indexing on demand. Then we supply the data to the client in any way or format they would like. DVD is the most common. PDF is the most common file format, even though we'll see some TIFF formatting out there also. It doesn't matter to us. We'll do TIFF or PDF. or any other formatting, but PDF is kind of the de facto standard. DVD is most likely the way most folks will deliver get the data delivered, even though we can do a secure FTP, but I highly recommend it's done on DVDs. Then you can always copy the data to your document management repository or your storage array or whatever and keep the DVDs as a backup. We also create an an index disk. So let's say there is, say 20 DVDs that come with a job that was done. The way we do the indexing is the same way the client names the file, the physical file, we name the computer file to match the physical file. So if somebody wants their indexing to be, say it's a healthcare record and they want it to be patient ID number, space, last name, comma, first name, that's the way we'll name the file. So we'll actually name the computer file, the patient ID record number, 768 dash last name, comma, first name. So the computer file matches the physical file exactly, and then all the documents that would have been in the physical file are now digital PDF documents that reside in the digital file. We keep all of that indexing in an Excel spreadsheet, so if you needed to find somebody's name, if that was a medical record, all you have to do in an Excel spreadsheet is do a Control F, pump the person's name in there. They'll tell you what disk that file happens to be on if you're not using a document management repository system. So you can store thousands and thousands of files, take these files off the DVD, store them into a hard drive, keep the same directory structure, and be able to find a file in literally seconds, even if you had 10,000 files, let's say, by just using the index file we provide you. And then we shred the documents. We keep the documents in physical form for 30 days before we shred. There is a quality control and check process that we do with the client. There's a document sign-off form that we ask the client to sign off on that says they have received the documents, they did check the documents, they approve of the documents. We'll keep the physical files around for 30 days before we physically destroy them. If the client wants the files back, we will ship the clients back. We will ship the files back. There is an extra charge for just return shipping if they do want the files back. We also store the data on hard drives because when we scan all the documents, we're scanning these files onto hard drives, portable hard drives. We actually store those hard drives off-site in a vault. If the client does not want us to store the data, a lot of times large financial institutions may not want another copy of the data lying around. We won't. We'll wipe the hard drives clean. A lot of the clients like the DR capability, so they like us keeping the hard drives in a vault. We'll keep those for about 3 years. We'll wipe them clean and reuse the hard drives. So that's kind of the process, the total end-to-end process on how we do the business. So some of the industry verticals, I mean, this is not a vertical-driven business. Everybody has paper. Everybody's in need of document imaging. But the big ones, as you well know, everybody reading the President Obama's stimulus package, there is $19 billion earmarked for the digitization of healthcare records in America. So $19 billion just focusing on category number 1, which is the healthcare industry. And that's inclusive of document imaging. So our goal is to help understand how to get those rebates for doctors, for hospitals, for healthcare organizations, clinics, whatever. But there's $19 billion earmarked for just the healthcare industry alone. We're seeing a lot of folks move to document digitization of documents. Obviously, it's easier to share patient records. We don't have to fill out those silly forms every time we go to a doctor's office every year. And it's going to be a mandate. It is a mandate by 2011 to get this done. Financials. The financials are probably the most forward-moving organization. They typically have at least some of their organization already digitally imaged and are constantly moving in that direction. They do it a lot of times for just BCDR purposes as well as compliance, SOX, as well as efficiency. Federal government is a no-brainer. There's also mandates to get all documents for the federal government. scanned and digitally imaged by, I think the date is about 2014. K through 12, I don't put in here, but higher ed is just as well noted. That's moving forward. State and local government insurance. I'm not going to go through all of them in excruciating detail. Point being is that there's use cases for each one of these, and there's reasons why these folks are moving forward in this direction, and we're seeing lots of momentum. So anybody focusing in these particular areas has lots of opportunity for ImageDoc services. So getting started, it's pretty easy to get started with this. We have a set of calculators and tools on the website. We'll give you access to that and tell you how to get access to the ImageDoc website, the partner portal login, all the tools, all the documents, all the presentations, all the FAQs, everything is up there on the website. And it allows you to assess and size the project. We have calculators that do that automatically for you. It's very easy to use. Determine the SKU offering. There's really only a handful of SKUs that we actually have. It's really our standard file size offering that will probably cover 80% of what you're probably going to run into out there. 4 SKUs are loaner for microfilm, microfiche. So that's usually pertinent in the government and healthcare space. There's lots of microfilm and fish sitting out there in those areas. And then signing a service agreement, which is actually a one-page contract that all it takes to really get started in doing business with an end-user client. So reviewing the program outline, since we're a channel-only organization, as we get leads out there in the marketplace, we're going to turn those over to our partners based on vertical expertise, geography, and other characteristics to be able to get these into our partner hands. Training our partners, such as doing webinars like this, as well as doing in-person training sessions. We'll assist in any way in closing business, so if there's something you need help with, please pick up the phone and give us a call. If we happen to be local, we can schedule out time to do it in person, we'll do so. Otherwise, we can do it via phone or any mechanism you like. We have a support center, so you can dial in via an 800 number, as well as a sales at ImageDoc USA email address to be able to ask any questions and get them answered. The partner portal, as I discussed earlier, is on the website, and that includes this kit that has everything that you would need to sell and price and execute a contract with an end-user client. So partnership advantages. Right now, there's no entry fee to get into the program. As I said earlier, it's greater than 40% margins. The ASP price is about $17,000 or a little bit greater, so we're not talking about small deals here. We're talking about pretty good money in terms of the size of a deal. We'll give it sales assistance in any way, shape, or form we need it. We talked about the drag or the pull-through on other services and things that you may be selling as a company. We have the ability to scale to millions of images, so if you come across a large deal, whether it be anything with the government or anything like that, most organizations can't scale to that magnitude. We can and do and have the ability to do it. So we can offer the ability to bring, even if there's VARs out there that I have that will do even little jobs, but they will offload all their larger business to us. So there can be actually a win-win scenario in that situation also. And we also provide services-only financing. So ImageDoc services-only financing is available, and we do that on a case-by-case basis. All you have to do is call me if you have something out there that you think falls into that category. Again, the profitability, the ability to pull through that revenue to 40% margins. Talked about 5,000 boxes, just so you get your numbers in a sense. 5,000 boxes, say, on a yearly basis, which isn't a whole lot, could be about $250,000 profit to you folks, and that's at 40% margins. There's room sometimes even to quote that up to 50%, depending on how competitive you want it to be in the market, and that's with a 2-cent markup per page. So that's extremely competitive pricing in the industry to be able to make that sort of money. As I said earlier, the partner kit includes case studies that are up on the website, pricing configurators. So if people tell you, I don't have the data, the files in boxes, I have them in file cabinets, or I have them lying around on racks, or they're in binders or books, We have a conversion tool that will convert that all into boxes quite simply. You put the number of entries in, and it'll tell you exactly how many boxes that converts to, and then that gives you the cost. So it's very, very easy to use the configurators. We have a sales FAQ sheet. We have a customer-facing presentation that you could use, and even additional sales tools to use. Forms that include, like I said earlier, there's a customer sign-off form. There's a one-page contract. It's all in the kit. Logos, if you want to put them on your website, if you would like. So next steps, the call to action is get you folks trained and ramped up. Anybody who's interested in doing another webinar specifically for your team, all you have to do is pick up the phone and either contact Lifeboat or myself, and we'll get that done and get you guys ramped up and trained in more detail. If there's anything you have immediate, please don't hesitate to call your sales rep at Lifeboat or myself, and we'll get right on it and be able to help you in closing any immediate business, or if you want to bid on some business, we'll be able to do that as fast as you can get it to us. We'll help you close it. And that's really it. Here's the contact information to contact sales at Lifeboat, and I guess we'll open it up to questions.
I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Don again, and thank you for attending today. As you saw in that presentation, this is a target-rich market for you. The opportunity for large margins is built in, and ImageDoc services are comprehensive. It's basically a matter of you finding the business and letting ImageDoc run with the ball from there, and Lifeboat Distribution is here to support you in your sales efforts and help you in any way that we can. I do encourage you to visit the ImageDoc website. There's a link on the slide showing now where you can jump to their website and get the partner kit and all of the tools that you need for estimating jobs. And you can certainly contact me or your Lifeboat representative here for any help with pricing or pre-sales assistance. I'm just going to check here quickly to see what questions we have. It looks like we have one person who wants to know if the presentation will be made available by email. The answer is certainly yes. We can get that information to you. We're happy to do it. So look for that to come out to all of the attendees by later today. Actually, we had a couple of folks who wanted that, so certainly by the end of the day today, we will get that presentation sent out to you by email. I did not see any other questions, so I want to thank you for your time from everybody here at Lifeboat and ImageDoc USA. Please feel free to call us if you think of anything afterwards. Otherwise, have a great day, and thanks very much for attending.